So, hi everyone. Welcome to the Learning Curve number 9, I believe it is. Wow, 9 days into the year. That's wonderful. So, we have a really special guest here today. This is Jacqui Holman of New Hope Farm in Brimfield. And she's a friend of ours. She's the one who delivered Iron Mike to us and has put his care in our hands. So, we really love Jacqui a lot for having respected us so much that she would give us this amazing horse. So thank you for that, Jacqui.
Oh, thank you.
A couple days ago, Jacqui came to visit me, and she wanted to talk to me about something. And I was thinking, wow, well, I wonder what it's about. I hope everything's okay. And because she was a little nervous, and she said, you know, I have heard about these two little colts or babies, foals that I should go help. And they're in a serious situation. And she explained to me about how they were nurse mare colt babies.
Yep.
And that she was wondering, should I do it? Should I not do it? And I said, Jacqui, you have to do it. It's one of those things where it's a life in danger, and don't worry because, you know, it'll somehow work out. Just doing the right thing somehow will work out. So she already knew that answer. So she just wanted to hear it.
I knew that answer.
She's like, thank you for telling me what I already know.
Right.
And she went off and she went and saved these babies. So Jacqui, I'm going to have you talk about what nurse mare foals are.
Okay.
And your experience with these guys here.
Yeah.
And when did you first even hear of this?
Actually, the first posting I saw was on Craigslist about 2 months ago. At that time, I didn't know that these weanlings were nurse mare foals. Just as an ad that said free weanlings, free to a good home. And there was some sort of an illness in the family that was causing these folks to need to rehome. So a friend of mine had showed me the posting, and I said, gee, I sure hope that works out. I monitored it, saw that the posting was still there, and then on January 2nd, there was a repost with more of a sense of urgency and saying that other things were available, round pens, buckets, so forth. You know, something must happen soon. So when I called is when I found out about the nurse mare foal situation, still not knowing what nurse mare foals were. I knew about the nurse mare industry in general, that there were, you know, generic grade mares that were used to nurse high-end foals. So I got to talking to him, and I left a message saying that if he was unable to find someone else, that we could be his backup. And he called me back and left a message saying that, you know, folks had committed and then had not come through, so he was calling people back. So I decided I said, well, I need a little time to think about it, but if I do commit, you know, if I say yes and you say yes, it'll be my friend Rachel was just the encouragement that I needed. She's always wanted to raise a baby. So together we set off at 7 a.m. yesterday, and when we got there, we were a little bit surprised that even though someone had rescued these babies, unfortunately, even in that process, sometimes things can go sour. Because folks had committed and then had not shown up, they had prepared for shipping the animals. So all of the round pens were taken down, and this colt and filly were in a shed. So it, unfortunately, due to the family's illness and so forth, it looks like they were just kind of getting by for the last month. So it was very difficult.
In a shed, not turned
In a
out.
shed. Yeah, in a shed, not
out.
turned out. They were also victims of the bad storm on October 31st.
Oh.
Their area was flooded and so forth, so they were totally in emergency management mode. And it's too bad that the people that chose to commit initially did not come through. But hence, when you see, sometimes there's certain things that tug at you, and then later you find out why that tug was there. So we backed the ramp right up, and you know, unfortunately, this guy didn't have a halter. You'll see that he has a little mark here from the halter being too small. He grew and the halter was passed on to her. And so it did take us a couple of minutes to get a halter on him. But once we got them into the tight, dark trailer, real close to each other, as you can see, they like to stay close. They were fine, perfectly quiet for, unfortunately, a 2-hour ride home. But to them, it was just a vibrating stall, I guess. And so a little bit more, I talked to Gary, the man I got these guys from, this morning, and he told me a little bit more about the history of how he did it. And it was, again, emergency management. He got a call, and he just chose to do the right thing. He did pay ransom, that's what we call it, when to get these babies away from the farm that they were part of the industry. So the woman was closing out her business and had 4 left, 3 of which were huddled together. And this little girl, believe it or not, took on the role of lead mare with herself, the colt, and another mare. And she became their security blanket, and he actually tries to nurse off of her. So these folks did the best that they could in an emergency situation and at least saved their life. And did give them milk replacer and so forth. But I was surprised to hear, we would all expect, gee, they must have been bottle fed. Well, they actually weren't bottle fed. By the time he got them at the age of 2 months, they had already figured out how to drink and how to eat as a matter of survival.
So
it's
they
amazing.
weren't nursed at all in their first couple months.
They were not nursed at all, it doesn't sound like. The fourth colt, the fourth one that they took was a colt. He was lucky to get to stay with his mother for 2 months because he was the last, his mare was the last mare, and for some reason there was no market for her milk at that time. So he, of course, they're going to send pictures, but he said, oh, he's magnificent and, really, really wonderful and, great stock because he got to stay longer. So these guys are a little scraggly, and that was just one other thing I wanted to mention as a side note. Here was a situation where there was a family crying out for help to help them continue to do right by animals that they saved, and the people that would come to look at the foals only wanted the cream of the crop, and so hence these 2 were left on, and hence the repost on January 2nd. People still didn't want to take. They came to look, but then said, no, not quite pretty enough, or a little too crazy, or whatever. Yeah, so they've. She has remained true to her character that was described, and this guy, it's amazing. In just a day and a half, he's come a long way. Did you just notice that he was doing a little bit of chewing there, where he's thinking about things, right? Is that what you know it as?
Well, yeah, and he's just submitting to what's going on, yeah.
Yep, becoming comfortable with it.
Yep.
When I first put a halter on him, what I actually had to do was take a lead rope and put it on his neck. All the while trying to do a grooming thing with my hand to try and keep him calm, like another horse. Maybe that's what his mom would do. Look at Hope, how relaxed she is with the sun and Jerry's calmness, and it seems like Wyatt is feeding off of her security. That's interesting. She's getting security from Jerry, and then he's feeding off of her security.
And I forgot to include you. This is Jerry Gamache. He's a herd member, and we love him very much. He's a big supporter of Blue Star too, and you can see clearly he's got a lot of love that the animals really need and feel.
And thanks to Jerry, that's how I found out about Blue Star too. So very, very happy that Jerry brought us all together.
So
One
Jacqui,
big happy family.
Yes.
helping horses, humans, Mother Earth.
Yeah.
So Jacqui, you got an opportunity to learn a lot about this industry. So can you talk to us about it? Because I don't think a lot of people know really what's going on.
Oh yes, right. We do need to explain the industry. Okay, so what I learned in a short time is that there are thoroughbreds, one thing I did learn, because I don't know much about breeding, is that for mares to become pregnant, the easiest way for them to become pregnant is within 1 week or 2 weeks, as Pam had known from her knowledge, of having a baby. So a lot like humans, we're most fertile right after we have a baby. So, and the thoroughbred industry actually requires live cover, stallions truly mating physically with mares in order for babies to be registered.
So they don't allow insemination?
Yeah, they don't allow artificial insemination. So what happens is there'll be a stallion and a mare, purebred thoroughbreds, the mare will have a foal. Then that mare, I guess the way this comes into play is when farms with mares want to have offspring by stallions at another farm. So they'll take their mare and ship her to the stallion's farm, and it has to be within that little window of opportunity right after she has a foal. And at that time, the thoroughbred farm calls the nurse mare farm and says, I need, we're ready for a mare, ship her right down. So the nurse mare farm always has to have mares that are kind of in heat cycles and so forth with the thoroughbreds at their farm. And they do time this, they plan it out very carefully, and they plan it so that the thoroughbred mare and the grade mare have their babies at the same time, and then at a moment's notice, the grade mare is taken away from her foal and sent on a trailer to the thoroughbred farm. And at that time, the foals are left to fend for themselves. And what I read, and I posted on my Facebook, is that some of them do die. Initially, a lot of them just died. Now, unfortunately, there's a market for their meat because their meat is tender. There's also a market for their hide, and they're called pony skins. So it's a very undercover operation, and fortunately, this woman went out of business. These were the last from her farm, but I guess there's quite a few out there. The good news is there's also several organizations that have dedicated themselves to this particular rescue cause. So basically, if you want to learn more about it, you just go online and
we'll provide some links.
Yes,
for site.
good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Last thing we wanted to mention is that Hope is going to be available for adoption. I like to say, just like Gary, who we got them from, Free to a Good Home, we'll put in what we can to her now, trimming her feet and so forth, and getting her warmed up and continuing on good feed. But we welcome visitors here on the weekends, and Pam can post information.
If anybody wants to help Jacqui, also maybe
Yes.
a little bit financially to do some of the things
thank
that
you.
the girls need, you can let me know and I'll send the funds.
Okay, great. But if anyone's interested in Hope, what I wanted to pass on things that Gary said about her that have definitely been everything he said. She's very confident and loving, very used to humans. They both were exposed to children, and she took to the children more than he did. You can pick up all of her feet with ease. She's very well socialized, and I think she's going to be an easy project. Yeah.
She hasn't moved since she's been here.
No, she loves it.
Yeah, she loves. Well, you we will have to see. Maybe Jerry will decide to adopt her. But we
thank you,
welcome
Jacqui.
all interest.
Thank you for really doing the right thing. And
Thanks for your support, Pam.
It's so wonderful to see. I mean, these horses obviously are now on the right track, and they're going to get to meet the right people, and people that will appreciate them for all their gifts. And I find that the horses that have some of the what would others would not, the characteristics some would not like are
Quirky?
actually the ones that I love the most. So
Right, exactly.
oh, look at you trying to go.
You're strong, huh?
So yeah, these two are going to go on to have great lives, I'm sure of it, and it's thanks to you and Jerry. So please, everybody, take this really seriously. This is really a crime. I mean, it's a, how can this possibly be happening in our country? This is exactly what we talk about at Blue Star. I mean, these are animals that have helped us throughout the past 6,000 years. We can't be allowing that they become these kind of commodities in these evil markets. We don't need their meat. The world does not need little baby foal meat or their hides. We just simply, we have too much as it is. We don't know how to use our resources carefully. And in exploiting these guys is just, it's a terrible mark on all of us, and all of us pay for it in some ways. So please help get the word out and support Jacqui, because this is a really brave thing to do when you're trying to, when your budget is so, you know, we all are struggling financially, and to take something on as like a horse, it's a big commitment, and it takes a lot of courage and heart and faith and hope. And so thank you, Jacqui, and thank you everybody for watching, and share this